everyone, this is Varsha and welcome to Programming Knowledge. So here we are starting a new series of Git and GitHub. Now this tutorial explains how to use the Git for the project version control in a distributed environment while working on web-based and non-web-based applications development. Now if you follow this tutorial, you can learn many basic functionalities. You will learn the commands, the tools, how do we use the commands of Git on Git bash terminal, and also we will learn the difference between Git and GitHub. And after completing this tutorial, you will find yourself using the Git version control system where you can upload your projects. Okay, so let's get started. So the agenda for today is that we're going to learn what is Git, what is version control, what are the features of version control system, features of Git, and why do we use Git and its benefits. Okay. So first, the definition of Git. Now Git is an open source distributed version control system. Now what is this distributed version control system? Distributed means that instead of switching the project to another machine, we can create a clone of the entire repository. Now, if you find this very confusing, this definition, we will understand what is distributed version control in the next tutorial when we will learn what are the different types of version control with an example. Okay, so for now, let us understand that Git is an open source, it's free, it's just open source, and it is a distributed version control system. But what is this version control system? Version control system is a system that records changes to a file or a folder. Whatever changes you make to your file, it will record that so that you can recall specific versions later. Okay, so this is what version control system is. Now, what is the functions of the version control system? First thing, it allows the developers to work simultaneously. Now, if I'm working on a project with many developers, suppose the first developer, A, is made some changes and committed those changes. Then the second developer, that is B, can review those changes and again make some changes and commit the projects. So this way, many developers are working simultaneously. Okay, so it allows the developers to work simultaneously, and it also does not allow the developers to override their changes. Like whatever changes A has done, the B cannot override those changes. It also maintains a history of every version. Every version that is created, it is recorded so that we can recall those versions later. So that's the major function of VCS, that is the version control system. Coming to some features of Git. The first feature is open source. As I said, Git is an open source distributed version control system. Git is an open source tool and it is released under the GPL, that is a general public license. Okay. Coming to speed. Now Git is very fast. You can complete all the tasks in a while, and most of the Git operations are done on local repository. So it provides a huge speed. Okay. And since it tracks the changes, so it can roll back to the previous state also. So this is also one feature of Git. And we can easily recover our files also. It saves a lot of time. It saves time because Git is a lightning fast technology, and each command takes only a few seconds to execute. As I said, the speed of Git is very fast. Okay. Now coming to the last feature, that is the staging area. Now what is the staging area? Here you can see this diagram. The staging area is a unique functionality of Git. Now it can be considered as a preview of your next commit. Okay, commit is something when you make some changes, you commit your file, that means those changes are permanent. Okay, it can be said that the staging area is a unique functionality of Git and it can be considered as a preview of our next commit. Okay, so before making the next commit, we can see that commit. Moreover, an intermediate area where commits can be formatted, it can be reviewed before completion. Okay, so when you make a commit, Git takes changes that are in the staging area. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this staging area is considered as a place where Git stores the changes. Okay, so this is what is staging area, and this is one of the most important feature of Git. Now, some of the benefits of Git: it saves time. We can work offline, except for some of the operations like cloning the project or pushing the project or pulling the project. We need a network connection at that point of time. That cannot be done offline. But when you make changes, you can work on your local repository and you can do your work offline as well. and when we can also undo the mistakes, we can track the changes, whatever there is there, we can track the history of changes that is done. So this is one of the benefits of Git. Now one of the questions that comes in mind is, why do we use Git? Now for example, let us take up an example and understand. We have 3 members working on a project, library management. Those members are Rancho, Farhan and Pia. Okay, so they are working on a project named library management. Now while working, Rancho saves the project as library management.zip. Okay, and Farhan saves it at library management1.zip, and then Pia saves it at library management1_edited.zip. Now basically here we are having 3 copies of the project, okay, which is consuming a lot of space. Now for example, it's a large file. This library management.zip is of 1 GB, and here library management1.zip is of 1 GB, and library management1_edited.zip is 1 GB. So basically here 3 GB of space is occupied, and we have just small changes has been made, and now it has 3 copies of the project. So this is such an inefficient way. This is so error prone, and it is taking a lot of disk storage also. So one of the problem over here is that, what if you want to merge the projects? What is the process? So Rancho will make some changes, send it to Farhan. Farhan will review those changes, make some more changes, and then merges the project and then send it to Pia for further changes. Pia will review the project changes, and then she will merge all the codes again and send it to Rancho for reviews. Now this cycle goes on, and it is so manual and time consuming, and it is so inefficient and error prone. Okay, so here comes what to do. What will Rancho, Farhan and Pia do? What is the solution of this? The solution is the version control system Git. Okay, if we use the version control system Git, we can store our files, large files, in distributed version control system. How? What will happen over here is, Rancho, Farhan and Pia will install Git on their computers, on their systems, and any one of them can put the project in the remote repository, that is the GitHub. Now everyone can pull the project so that they can get a copy of the project. They can work on their local copies, and then they can commit the copies by pushing the changes to the remote repository. So basically what I'm trying to say is, all the members will install the Git on their system. Any one of them can put the project on the remote repository. Then the third step is that everyone can clone this project from the remote repository to the local repository. Now everyone can work on their local copies, and they can commit and push the changes to the remote. So this is the reason why we use Git. Now if you don't understand this example, I'll give a very easiest example. Now if you're working on some project, any project that might be, okay, and you save the file name as project.pdf. Then again you make some changes. It might be a small change, and you name it as project1.pdf. Again you need to make some changes, or you need to add some files to it. You have added those files, and then you have named it as project_final.pdf. I'm sure many of you have done this in your life. Okay, then you again have made some changes, and you store it as project_final1.pdf. Again you make changes, and this process just goes on. It's like final. Okay, so here you're creating so many copies of a project. So instead of creating those copies, we can use a version control system, that is Git, where it stores every copy is being stored over there. You can, just by pulling the project, you can get your project on your local repository. You can work on those projects, you can make any sort of changes, and you can push your project to the remote repository. So this is a small example of Git. While working in companies, we have large files, we have huge projects. So working on Git helps all the developers to simultaneously work. Okay, and I have explained also the features of Git and also some of the functions of it. So that's the reason why Git is very powerful, and we need to use it. So this is all for today. In the next tutorial, we will understand what are the different types of version control, how was Git created, and what are the Git terms and Git commands. So that's it for this video. I hope you learned something new in this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe our channel and ring that bell icon so that you don't miss out the next video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.